Renegade Platinum. I hear this is the greatest difficulty ROM hack ever made, as voted by Reddit. Others have called it Drayano's magnum opus, and I agree, it was pretty good. I played through this with a personalized, easier Weenie Hut Jr. of the hardcore nuzlocke rule set. It's not really a nuzlocke because there's no permadeath, but here are the changes. No nicknaming, because I'm just lazy. No setting up past +2 in any stat. I'm not anti-setup, but I do agree it's a bit boring to set up sweep every fight. This is a good middle ground. And lastly, no permadeath because I just don't want to wipe and start all over. In lieu of that, I have to retry the fight until I can do it deathless though, and I call this Mila's Turnwheel Clause. Having played through quite a few difficulty hacks now, I'm starting to get pretty comfy. With that said, it was still a struggle to get all the way up to the Elite 4 without the ability to change IVs, natures, or abilities. A lot of great encounters I ran into were held back by a bad combination of the three, so I had to dig a little deeper to find safe strategies. I should point out I've only played through Vanilla Platinum once, years ago, almost a decade. I literally do not remember where to go or where the story battles are because I keep fast forwarding through the text. I keep getting jumped by my rival and even an Elite 4 member, wiping a few times because I didn't save beforehand. Still really mad at Aaron for not taking no for an answer. Anyways, as usual, limping and bleeding out, I made it to the Elite 4. This Elite 4 is special. Each member has one of 4 teams that they pick from. Fortunately, the teams are mostly identical, usually with 4 to 5 static Pokemon across all 4 teams, but with different leads and maybe a slightly different build here and there. In general, a strat that works for one should largely work for the other 3. The main advantage that I get to abuse here with this Elite 4 is that each member has progressively higher levels, eventually setting the level cap at 78 for Cynthia's Garchomp. This means I'm basically bringing a squad of over-leveled Pokemon for the first 4 fights. So, my team. I'm bringing Garchomp, a static encounter from one of the caves. It's a pseudo-legendary, so it's just good all around. I'm bringing Gengar, another static encounter from the Haunted Mansion in Eterna Forest. Why don't people go for this Gengar more often? It's really good. I guess Rotom is good as well. I'm bringing Venusaur with Thick Fat, an extremely good special tank to bring. Grass and Poison is also pretty good typing for the Switch AI, and we'll get into that more later. I'm bringing Drapion. This is the one from the Cherubi trade. It's got 3 perfect IVs and some pretty good typing, so it is a really good bring just in general. Mawile is tagging along. It's mainly here just for the pivot into immune moves, but it can absolutely erase a few problems if needed. It's got huge power and a pretty decent attack IV. Lastly, an encounter I was pretty disappointed by, but in turn makes it one of the most exciting party members to bring along, Skill Link Heracross. I was disappointed because it didn't have guts, but after looking into what moves I can use to take advantage of Skill Link, it has pretty good coverage. The accuracy of these moves gives me a little bit of anxiety, but Heracross can just permanently hold a wide lens. After edging all the XP bars to the cusp of overleveling, we set up for the Elite 4. The first fight is against this creepy guy. He's not creepy because he uses bug types. He is creepy because he jumped a 10-year-old girl outside of Hearthome City, and when she refused his advances, he would not take no for an answer. There is a clear power imbalance in this interaction between an Elite 4 member and a child with only 2 gym badges. This girl may have felt pressured to consent, fearing retribution for the rest of her trainer career if she said no. And this creeper is clearly abusing the power dynamics at play here to solicit something from an underage girl, no less. This guy needs to be held accountable for his actions, and we cannot overlook this just because he has a title of Elite 4. Time to take this guy to the gallows. It's the Venomoth team, and I lead with Heracross. Rock Blast makes short work of it, and Scyther comes in next. I didn't realize Heracross at level 79 is slightly faster than Scyther at 78, so I switched over to Mawile. Firefang drops the Scyther, Firefang drops the Fortress for the 4x damage, Ironhead drops the Armaldo, and pivot to levitate Gengar and Pinsir's Earthquake. Gengar comfortably takes the Oko with Sludge Bomb, and on the Drapion I bring in Garchomp. This Drapion is a crit machine, so Garchomp is the safest one to bring in. Anyways, due to the level differences and EV training, I make extremely short work of this creep. I hope he learns a lesson about power imbalance, but we know he won't. I think now is a good time to talk about the Switch AI in this game. Mind you, I barely understand it, so I'll do my best to explain it. Unlike other hacks, the game checks for the Pokemon's type matchup rather than checking for the highest damaging move. Think of it as the AI determines whether a stab move would be effective or resisted against the incumbent Pokemon and scores each remaining Pokemon that way. The Pokemon with the highest score switches in, regardless of whether it would actually deal the most damage or not. For example, against the creep just now, Heracross, Bug Fighting, knocks out Venomoth, so the AI checks the rest of the team based on the type matchup versus Bug Fighting. Scyther is Bug Flying, so the AI gives a score for Bug versus Bug Fighting, and then a score for Flying versus Bug Fighting. Bug typing against Heracross is not very effective, so it gets a score of 20. But Flying against Heracross is 4x effective, so it gets a score of 160. Scyther gets a total score of 180. Pinsir, a monotype, is considered Bug-Bug, so it scores 20 twice for a total of 40 only. Armaldo is Bug-Rock, so a score of 20 for Bug and 40 for Rock since it's neutral versus Bug Fighting. And the calc goes on. If there's a tie in the high score, it goes by party order. But that's not going to be the case here, because I don't think anything is beating out Scyther's score with a quad-effective flying type move against Bug Fighting. Alright, back to regular programming. Bertha next. Some of her teams can be a bit annoying with some specific resistances, but fortunately, I got the one team that Venusaur can solo sweep. Just know that I had 10 Giga Drain PP, and it took me exactly 10 Giga Drains to clean up this fight. On to Flint. Having Garchomp here makes it a cakewalk, since I can outspeed and nuke almost everything with Earthquake. This Flint team features a Charizard, which is Fire Dragon with Levitate in this game. However, the Dragon typing means that it's weak to Dragon Claw, so down it goes as well. Solar Beam may look scary, but even with a crit, I'll be outside of Arcanine's extreme speed range, so I'm not threatened by anything here. Lopunny can be a little bit of a problem. I switched to Gengar to dodge a fake out and high jump kick, forgetting that Lopunny has Scrappy. And then I forget Lopunny is normal, so I can't Shadow Ball it, so suddenly I have to switch out. I'm content to use Venusaur with Thick Fat to just stall it to death, but I got an untimely crit as well. Fortunately, I can switch back to Garchomp on a Blaze Kick, dealing enough chip damage with Rough Skin to guarantee an Earthquake KO. Fourth guy next. I keep forgetting this guy's name, so even in my recording I just refer to him as Nerd. This is another fight where Skill Link Heracross can shine. Because of the switch in AI, he'll line up a bunch of Pokemon that will just die to Pin Missile. Huh, is this how Focus Sash works in Gen 4? But it's a multi-hit. Okay, yes, this is completely calculated that Heracross can survive a Psychic from Alakazam, sure. So now Heracross is going to take the kill with Pin Missile and then blast through a bunch of fodders until Metagross. Yes, that's correct. Well, in my original plan, Heracross would be at full HP here, so this guarantees a Zen Headbutt or in some cases, Explosion. Both of which I can tank pretty comfortably with Mawile to bait an Earthquake. This would give me a safe pivot into Gengar so I can kill with Shadow Ball and then try to chain kill Gallade. Unfortunately, I gave Gengar a Focus Sash in preparation for some other Lucian teams, so now Shadow Ball is barely not strong enough to guarantee an Oko. There are 2 out of 16 non-killing rolls. To be safe, I need Gengar at full HP going into Gallade to make sure I have the Focus Sash proc still on deck if I miss the range. Note that if I don't kill with Shadow Ball, Lucian still has a full restore, meaning there will be 2 chances for me to actually miss the range. So how this actually applies to the current situation is that Heracross is now beating random moves. The only one fully safe from random moves from Metagross, including the unlikely explosion, is Gengar with a Sash. Everyone else could die to something. I'm praying for Earthquake or Explosion, which I'm immune to. so that I can save my focus sash for Gallade later in case Gengar misses the range to kill once or twice. Got the Earthquake, never punished. And now I have 2 chances to hit a killing roll. I missed the first one, so I get 1 more chance. Okay, listen, let's be real. If I died here and had to restart the fight, I wouldn't be showcasing it in this video. So yes, I hit the second 14 and 16 to kill. And now, it is time for the infamous Cynthia fight. I hear she single-handedly gave half the kids PTSD, and for the other half, she left an impression that shaped their preferences. The Clefable lead means that this is the most non-Cynthia team of the bunch, and also the only one where my lead Heracross can't immediately take out. This Clefable is just here to set up screens, and I specifically taught Brick Break to my female Mawile to constantly break screens and avoid infatuation. Clefable is either going to keep spamming screens or do resisted Moonblasts. Mawile is going to keep spamming Brick Break until I can get a heal turn. Then I can use this opportunity to hit Iron Head, which is going to OHKO for sure. Cynthia's Ace Garchomp comes in next and will click Earthquake as it sees a kill. I'm switching to my Garchomp to tank the Earthquake and return kill with Dragon Claw. Mismagius and Milotic score the same, so Mismagius comes in next due to team order. Gengar can switch in on another resisted Moonblast and take the guaranteed kill with Shadow Ball. This brings in Milo. The way I initially planned this line is I wanted to bring in Venusaur to have a tank off, but I really wanted Heracross to take some kills, so I recalculated the line on the go. Bullet Seed can take the kill, and I can chain kill Roserade with Pin Missile as well. With Lopunny, I don't outspeed, so I have to switch again. This is the part where I plan to Giga Drain my way to the win, but I immediately get crit. Since I don't bait High Jump Kick anymore, I can safely switch into Drapion, for the first time all Elite Four apparently, to tank the hit. Surely it won't crit a second time, right? Well, that works, but I was banking on a second Life Orb hit so that I can guarantee Brick Break kill. Now I've got nothing that can guarantee an OHKO, so I decided to use Cross Poison, which is a higher chance of crit. And I just hope that I can end it right there. No crit, but the poison means Lopunny will die regardless. And with that, I have defeated Cynthia in Renegade Platinum. It was fun and tiring to plan for essentially 20 teams in the Elite Four, but I think the difficulty was offset by essentially being grossly overleveled for more than half of it. Drapion was also just a glorified bus rider because I didn't get any of the teams that I needed it for. However, I'm still happy Skill Link Heracross was able to take so many names. And with that, the credits roll. But it wasn't enough? Let's do the postgame too. The first postgame boss is a double battle with Barry against Flint and Volkner. I'm having Garchomp press EQ every turn. Since Barry leads with Staraptor, the bird is safe. Barry must think I'm the most considerate doubles partner, only clicking spread moves that he's immune to. But he will soon find out he is dead wrong. I don't give a flying about his side of the field. Okay, the actual postgame works like this. Beat 6 trainers to fight Buck, and then do a quest line, and then you can do Elite Four round 2. I haven't played Vanilla Platinum postgame before, so this is all new to me. And because these technically count as gym challenges, I'm adjusting my level caps to match their highest Pokemon. This means my entire E4 round 1 team is overleveled and unusable. But honestly, seeing how Garchomp curb stomped the previous fight, I think it's only fair. I'm keeping Bibarel around for 2 reasons. First, my Bibarel, like many before him and after him, is here to fulfill a Arceus mandated destiny of becoming an all-terrain vehicle. Second, he is here to siphon XP with XP share to stop my main mons from overleveling too quickly. One of the greatest third stringers to ever have. First up is the Flying Badge. Their strategy is to set up rain to enable fully accurate hurricanes. I didn't have a non-drizzle weather setter, so if I wanted to turn off the rain, I'll have to do it manually. As I'm writing the script for this section, I'm realizing I didn't actually need to worry about the rain-hurricane combo at all. The line I ended up taking Wild Hurricane really well, and I didn't need to go through that entire song and dance of turning it off. But for the sake of the video, let's just pretend it was vital I had to, okay? First off, I'm getting this Pelipper off the field ASAP. It holds a sash to guarantee it gets 1 turn to set up Tailwind. But my Infernape does the classic fake out nuke combo, and in this case the nuke is Thunder Punch. Togekiss comes in next, and I flip over to Skarmory. Skarmory can take a crit or two from Togekiss, and that's enough to set up Sandstorm. Magnezone comes in and takes out Togekiss, and this sends out Aerodactyl, which only baits Earthquake. But that's the exact checkmate scenario I was lining up for, because now I can bring in my ace, the Big Bird. Delibird's offensive stats were absolutely roided up in this game, boasting 110 for both special attack and speed. We don't talk about the defenses, but it's got a ground immunity, and honestly, that's all I need. A lot of fights I planned literally revolved around baiting in a ground move so I can pivot Delibird in safely and let her sweep from there, just like this one. Next up is Ace Trainer Wyver, the Dragon Gym badge. I'm leading with Skarmory for the explicit purpose of setting up Stealth Rocks to break a Focus Sash later. I think this Kingdra might be hard-coded to yawn until you're asleep, because after pivoting to Magnezone, it's still pressing nothing but yawn. But the second Magnezone falls asleep, it immediately switches out, even if it wakes up immediately with a Lumberry. Magnezone is a great partner to Delibird, because it is a magnet for ground-type moves. Garchomp comes in for the Earthquake, giving Deli a safe entry, and that's GG. By the way, I just noticed Delibird is overleveled, but I assure you Deli would be doing this even if she were only level 75. Okay, not gonna lie, this normal leader is quite the demon. Specifically, this Bibarel is quite the demon. It tries to set up with Curse, so if you don't get it off the field quickly, it can sweep your entire team. This guy is showing me that Bibarels are more than glorified ATVs and XP sponges, so good for you, brother. Anyways, this demon, getting it off the field quickly wasn't my problem, but getting it to switch in on my terms was the issue. Even wasting one turn to reposition could mean GG for me. Ultimately, my strat became very simple. Taunt it and Toxic Stall it. Every other Pokemon remaining on the team is an afterthought once I get Ape in. Now that I'm watching this in post, that line was kinda dumb, but whatever dude, we move on. Luna the Fairy Trainer is next. This strat is actually kinda boring, but here we go. Quagsire is only here to yawn, and Skarmory is switching in purely to stall a turn. I could have taught Quagsire Protect, but I was lazy, so whatever. Anyways, I just needed to get Wigglytuff asleep so I can switch in Drifblim? Wait, where the hell did Drifblim come from? Just hallucinated a whole different Pokemon? What the? Okay, anyways, I just need to get Wigglytuff asleep so I can switch in Houndoom to set up one nasty plot and sweep. Everything will get O-code until the Mawile switches in, which holds a Sash. For this, I'm switching back to Magnezone, which can take the kill with 2 Thunderbolts. Pretty straightforward. Poison Guy next. Oops, wrong dude, sorry, talk later. Poison Girl next. This one is gonna be pretty straightforward. It's gonna be a Starmie sweep. This Starmie has questionable special attack, but almost max speed IVs, speed nature, and everything is going down to a Psychic. Surprisingly, there is no dual poison dark type to stop a Psychic sweep, but we take those. The dark type guy is the final quote-unquote gym leader, and this battle takes place in a sandstorm. This sandstorm can be turned off, so I lead with Drizzle Pelipper to change the weather to rain. Unlike previous weather changes, setting the rain here actually serves a purpose. This is the only way I can get Quagsire to Oko Houndoom, which baits Shift Tree in, guaranteeing a grass-type move that I can pivot Infernape into. Infernape will murder everything with close combat, except for Spiritomb, but Spiritomb doesn't actually do much and Altaria can just come in and take it out. For the final 2 Pokemon, I decided to switch in Lopunny, a dollar store version of Infernape pretty much, just to siphon off some XP. And now it's time for the boss of this mini segment, Buck. Buck features a Torkoal lead with Drought. His team doesn't particularly benefit from having the sun up, but seeing the sun set up causes the Neckbeard Basement Dweller instinct in me to want to turn it off immediately. Actually, in this case, there is a good reason to. I send in Kingdra, which baits Solar Beam, but by outspeeding it and turning the sun off with Rain Dance, I lock it into a turn of charging, and flip the penalty for water moves into a buff. Buck sends in Umbreon next, and this is a classic Toxic Staller, with a Chople Berry to stay safe from fighting moves. I also have to play around its synchronizability, meaning I have to be really selective about how I tackle this guy. I picked up a Seviper in the postgame, and funnily enough, this is actually the 3rd Poison Dart combo I have in my box. My goal is to Toxic Stall it as well, and when it's low enough, switch in someone that can kick through Troppleberry. The first part of the plan goes well, but then I realized I forgot to teach it Protect, got confused, and I didn't want to gamble, so I'd switch to Lopunny early. High Jump Kick a turn early has a very low chance to kill, with a Toxic Tick even through Troppleberry. Even though this kill is eventually guaranteed, it still gives Umbreon a chance to hit Toxic on Lopunny. If everything goes according to plan though, Lopunny wouldn't need to leave the bench after this turn. Claydol tags in for Psychic, which gives me a really safe switch to Sharpedo and sends it packing with Waterfall. Dusknoir steps in, and while Sharpedo can take it out with Crunch, I need to set up the board for the Cloyster in the back. Pelly chips it with Hurricane, and Kingdra finishes the job with Surf. This correctly baits in Cloyster, and Cloyster's most threatening move is Hydro Pump, but since Kingdra quad resists water, it'll choose to click Icicle Spear instead or set up hazards. This is the reason I needed that convoluted pivot and dance with Dusknoir. It's so Ape can switch in safely on an ice move. Close Combat takes out Cloyster, and Shuckle without a real damaging move can't do much against Ape spamming CC either. I just realized Buck isn't affiliated with that gym challenge thing they have going on this island. I thought he was their officially sanctioned champion or something, but no, he's just some random dude that only fights you after the gym challenge. It's like if a dude stops you on your way to a Smash tournament and tells you if you win bracket, he'll play you in the 7-Eleven parking lot later. The last fight before E4 Round 2 opens up is a back-to-back with Mars and Jupiter at the entrance of Stark Mountain. They're basically trying to revive Team Plasma or something, with an old guy and his associates trying to coerce two girls into doing their bidding on an island. Wait, why does it sound really familiar? Okay, anyways, this is a back-to-back fight with a heal in between. The two teams have different leads and aces, but fortunately, there's a lot of overlap elsewhere. Not the most difficult fight to plan for in the grand scheme of things. Mars is a pushover. My max speed mix sweeper Starmie immediately takes 3 frags, with much more ease than I had saying that previous sentence, and Infernape takes out the rest. Perugly gave me a lot of grief early game, but now I've simply outscaled it, so it's not a threat anymore. Jupiter wasn't too bad either, but it's naturally trickier because Starmie can't do much against this Bronzong. But on the flip side, Bronzong can't do much to Starmie either, so it'll opt to use Swagger as I switch Ape back in. Ape is holding a Lumberry this entire time, so if Swagger actually hit, I could dog walk the rest of the fight with a +2 demon. Gastrodon switches in and Shifttree shrugs off. Oh my god, why am I writing these tongue twisters? Shifttree shrugs off a Muddy Water and hits a 4x Leaf Blade. I want to take this time and point out, it turns out only Nuzleaf learns Fake Out. Shifttree doesn't. In fact, Shifttree's move pool in this game is quite questionable in relation to its typing and its stats spread. If it actually had Fake Out, it would have gotten off the bench a lot more, as it is my only Fizz Grass attacker. But them's the breaks. Crobat gets walled by Metagross, and Sableye gets moonblasted by Altaria, who is overleveled. Whoops. Jupiter's ace, Skuntank, is the other early game demon. For the final time this run, Metagross can 1v1 this comfortably, if it didn't miss a Meteor Mash. It connects with the second one, but I'm now in Aftermath range, so I have to take the kill with someone else. This is the perfect opportunity to debut Flygon, whom I also picked up during post-game. Flygon is Bug Dragon this game, which is a fascinating yet fitting typing. It's also got its stat changed to be more special focused, so this hack gives it quite a unique niche. I do have to constantly remind myself it is not a ground type anymore though. Flygon takes the last kill with Earth Power and takes out Tangrowth with a newly stabbed Bug Buzz. And with that, Mars and Jupiter piece out of the game and the story after some lines of dialogue that fails the Bechdel test. From here, there is some plot-related thing that happens in Stark Mountain, I fight a bunch of randos with Buck, watch some cutscenes, and that's it. I didn't record any of that because there were no boss fights really, and frankly, trying to navigate that maze was aggravating. So I'm just gonna jump straight to E4 Round 2. E4 Round 2 thankfully doesn't feature 4 random lineups, so it's much more straightforward to plan for. Similar to the previous round, the level cap is set at Cynthia's 89, so I'll have the level advantage for the first few fights. I took a look at the calcs and it turns out I can basically run the same E4 team again, which is boring. So I'm making the call now to ban my previous E4 team. So sorry Heracross, Garchomp, Venusaur, Drapion, Mawile, and Gengar, you're benched. Extra apologies to Drapion, who only saw garbage time minutes in round 1. For round 2, I'm bringing the following Pokemon. Empoleon, my starter. Barely saw any action throughout the entire run, but we all know how good Empoleon can be. Pelipper. A second water type might seem puzzling, but Pelipper is my only weather setter and has a variety of unique skill sets that makes certain lines safer. A fairy type is important, so I'm bringing Altaria. The offenses are a little bit lacking, but Altaria would be my designated special tank. Flygon, our special bug dragon sweeper. We get another levitate user and some interesting coverage possibilities with this bad boy. Seviper, the other post-game pickup. This guy serves a very similar role as Drapion, a poison dark type fizz attacker. Let's hope Seviper sees more minutes than Drapion. And finally, I'm bringing the Winter Soldier, Big Delibird. Let's go. Okay, so somehow this creep is still employed by the Pokemon League. I was going to joke about how a guy that should be in jail didn't even get a suspension with pay. But now I realize the joke is in fact myself for thinking the Pokemon League HR was on my side. No, HR protects the institution, not me. The creep leads with Yanmega, and I'm guessing it's going to try to protect turn 1 to get a speed boost. Well, joke's on you, because I lead with Penguin, who is slower to begin with, so I don't care about your speed boost. Surf takes first blood. This baits in Heracross, as its Seize fighting type is super effective against Empoleon's Steel type. Altaria can tank an incoming close combat very well, and even with Guts online on turn 2, Altaria is just going to Moonblast it for the second kill. This confirms Skill Link is better than Guts on Heracross. Scissor switches in and sees a fast kill with Bullet Punch, and I want to switch in Flygon here. I'll need to dodge a crit, because a crit will get me low enough to bait another priority move from both Scissor and Scyther later. But I've never doubted Flygon as she clutches up. Scyther comes in for Scissor, but since it doesn't see a kill with Quick Attack, it'll try to Aerial Ace, and then it'll just get outsped and dies. Armaldo is next up, and the Bug Rock typing keeps it safe from getting O-code by Flygon. But in return, due to Flygon's new bug typing, a Stone Edge will surely kill it. I U-turn out for some unnecessary chip because Penguin will O-code through Pashoberry with Surf from any percentage. And finally, the creep's ace is Drapion and it comes in. Empoleon's Steel type baits Earthquake quite a lot, allowing me to switch safely to Levitate Flygon, and it takes the kill with Earth Power. Baiting ground moves with Empoleon is going to be a recurring theme for this E4 round 2. Bertha's consolidated round 2 team is another sand team, but this time she's got 2 sand setters. The plan here is to bait out her sand setters on my terms so I can tackle them accordingly. The first sand streamer is Hippowdon, which I can nuke with Empoleon easily. This baits in a Choice Scarf Dugtrio, which on paper is very scary, but we've established that Empoleon baits a lot of ground moves, and this Dugtrio locks itself into Earthquake, which Pelipper is immune to, so Dugtrio gets blasted by Surf and in comes Tyranitar. Tyranitar is the other sand stream setter, and the more annoying one for sure. Defensively, it is quite hefty on the physical side, and the Sandstorm gives it a special defense buff. Not to mention, this guy's got pretty good coverage. It'll fold to any fighting moves, but I'm not bringing any, so here's my risky line. I'll need to switch Pelly out and back in to re-up the rating. The only safe way to do this is by pivoting through Penguin, using a yawn on it and switching back to Pelipper. Pelipper currently baits a 50-50 between Stone Edge and Thunder Punch. Stone Edge will be a comfy switch-in even with a crit. A Thunder Punch crit on Penguin means it's over. Penguin takes the Stone Edge without a crit, so this is a good start. I protect to get a little bit of health back and yawn into a Thunder Punch. This also cannot crit, and Peng clutches up again. My starter is feeling that chip on its shoulder for getting left out of Elite Four round 1 and frankly the rest of the game so far, and is eager to remind me he's not washed. This lets Pelly come in and actually wash the demon for good, but this fight ain't over yet. Rhyperior with a Sash comes in. Pelipper U-turns to break the Sash and pivots to Flygon, tanking a Mega Horn that hits like a bloody truck. It also has Rock Wrecker, which will definitely bury both Pelipper and Flygon. As it stands though, there's a bunch of logic that discourages Rhyperior from clicking that move, so I'm pretty confident it'll never use it. Well, Pelipper comes back in and sends Rhyperior to the bottom of the ocean. Swampert is next, and I'm thanking my lucky stars it doesn't have Swift Swim. Anyways, Swampert's gimmick is that it's got Mirror Coat, and silly me essentially ran 5 special attackers and my 1 physical attacker can't do much here. My stupid plan is to U-turn back and forth between Pelipper and Flygon, get Swampert to around 50% HP before getting Delibird to come in and nuke it from there. The AI is a bit random with clicking Mirror Coat, so there's a 50-50 chance it clicks an attacking move. Pelipper and Flygon can tank them okay, but I basically need to pray that when I switch Delibird in, it doesn't attack it, and if it does, it doesn't click Aqua Tail, because that's an OHKO. With my ass clenched, Pelipper throws the alley-oop to Delibird and I pray that it is not Aqua Tail. Just kidding, Delibird is holding a sash. Delibird catches the oop and dunks on Swampert, and Gliscor comes in and meets the same fate. Bertha down, and to be honest, she was the hardest to plan for, because I prioritized my team around the later fights, and the lines with the Creep and Bertha ended up being a little scuffed. I feel like I've fought Flint like 5 times already, but this is hopefully the last. This is another Sun team and I definitely need to turn the Sun off, just for the purpose of lifting the debuff on water moves. I lead with Empoleon, which baits a Solar Beam from Ninetales, but just like the strat I used before, I switched the Pelipper to trigger the Rain, and now Ninetales is locked into a charging turn. Pelly can pretty much shrug off the Rain debuff Solar Beam and take the kill with Surf. Magmortar comes in for a Thunder Punch, but Flygon hard pivots in to shrug it off. Not immune, just resistant. I need to chip it just a little bit to take the kill, so I U-turn into Seviper to negate an incoming Psychic, and then hard switch back to Flygon who dodges an Aura Sphere. Earth Power takes it. Flygon's Bug typing shows a weakness to Moltres' Flying type, so the bird steps up to the plate. Due to the rain, Moltres also has fully accurate Hurricanes online. Fortunately, Empoleon is a brick wall and it shrugs off 2 Hurricanes like it's nothing, then returns kill with a Surf. I've got a Lumberry in case I get confused by Hurricane, but in all honesty, in all the Hurricanes I've eaten and used, I've never seen a confusion once. I wonder if it's bugged or not. Flint's Infernape switches in, and Altaria fully walls it, especially with the rain up. 1 close combat crit looks kinda scary, but it needs 2 consecutive crits to bring down Altaria. Moonblast takes it, and I did get burned from Flare Blitz. Slight tangent, I don't know if I was complaining earlier about the lack of weather setters I got this run. I was hoping this Altaria would have Cloud 9, so even if I can't set the weather, I can at least turn it off. Well, I was disappointed in Natural Cure. But this is going to be the first time Natural Cure procs this entire run. Houndoom coming in means I'll have to switch to Seviper. I can basically tank anything and return kill with Poison Jab. I do not know why this didn't kill, but now I risk a crit overheat. However, I know I never get punished, so I wasn't even worried. Seviper made sure to bury Houndoom properly a second time, and we're down to Flint's final Pokemon, Rapidash. I think since it has a Power Herb, it's incentivized to click Bounce every single time. Bounce doesn't do much damage, so even a Delibird can tank it safely. A fake out Water Pulse ensures Flint takes another L and the last one he'll get from me. Lucian is the only guy standing between me and Cynthia. The last time we battled, he was a bit of a pushover, minus the Focus Sash scare. Let's see if this nerd has a little more competence this time. Spoilers, no. Flygon has choice specs, so Bug Buzz eviscerates Mr. Mime. Lucian realizes he can't pull any punches, so he brings out his Ace Latios, which also gets demolished by Bug Buzz. Metagross does not get demolished by Bug Buzz, but quickly pivoting through Empoleon to remove the choice specs lock, Flygon shows that he can demolish Metagross with Earth Power. Okay, Flygon can't OHKO Gallade, but somehow Gallade is so defensively frail that a Delibird running a physical move can take it. Espeon gets walled by Seviper, and Alakazam enters the fray. It actually outspeeds Seviper, but it doesn't outspeed Flygon, so Flygon returns to the battle and puts Alakazam down. For the second time in a row, Lucian was the weakest link in Elite Four. For being the 4th and strongest member, supposedly, he is quite the pushover. Which checks out, considering he is either willfully ignorant of that creep that works under him, or he's unable to exercise his authority to reprimand him. Either way, this is a failure of management, and if accountability ever existed in this bloody world, he'd be put on a pip and forced out. Alright Cynthia, what you got? Normally I'd say Cynthia is going to be the hardest fight. She is, but my team is basically almost tailor-made just for her, at the expense of harder fights everywhere else. This line risks a few crits, but it's solid, so let's go. Spiritomb has really fallen from grace ever since fairy types were introduced, and I always thought it was a better pivot than a lead anyways. Regardless, Altaria takes the first frag. Lucario comes in as it sees Steel type gives it a good matchup against the fairy type. Peli shrugs off a Meteor Mash, but it will need to dodge a crit high jump kick first before it can return kill. I could have given Pelipper a Scarf to outspeed it and avoid tanking an extra hit, but I actually wanted that additional damage to ensure Togekiss coming in next will see a kill. I'd rather Empoleon switch in on an Air Slash than a Thunder Wave. Empoleon is safe from one Thunder Wave and can safely tank 2 moves, one of which can be a crit, but not both. Air Slash does not crit, and Empoleon fires off a Yawn. Lumberry removes the para, and Empoleon stalls a turn with Protect to get Togekiss asleep. 2 Flash Cannons later, it takes it out, and in comes Garchomp. This Garchomp is scarfed and extremely scary. However, Penguin does one thing really great, and that is to show kills to ground moves, and this baits Garchomp into locking into EQ. From here, I can pick between Flygon or Delibird to take the KO, and in this situation I pick Flygon for a specific purpose. Cynthia's new ace Rayquaza descends, holding a focused sash. Surprisingly, it is not that fast, so Flygon U-turns to break the sash. Altaria tags in to an immune Outrage, and Earthquake is the highest damaging move next, so that lets Delibird come in for free. But it's not Earthquake, and that's a problem because now Rayquaza is speed tied with Delibird. This is going to be a 50-50 to see who moves first, and whoever moves first wins the fight. Just kidding, this matchup was never in doubt. Milotic is the last Pokemon in, and I pivot through Flygon for no reason, risking a crit to get some chip damage in. Seviper will finish off the job. Seviper could have taken the Oko without chip with a Choice Band, but I was worried about status effects from Ice Beam or Scald, so I played it safe and had Seviper carry a Lumberry as well. And with that, I beat the establishment a second time. Elite Four round 2 in the bag. But it wasn't enough. I can keep going. So I decided to pick a fight with some Trust Fund Baby. Thanks for the Beldum, by the way. Steven leads with Skarmory, and I lead with Electivire. Electivire has been pretty good mid-game, but with Wild Charge being the only good physical Thunder move, it really hampers Vire's flexibility late game. Well, I'm using Wild Charge here, so you know how this fight is probably going to go. Steven finds out I mean business and sends out his Ace Metagross immediately. It's Zen Headbutt or Earthquake. It's going to be a Meteor Mash, and I can safely bring Houndoom in. God damn. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that hit much harder than I thought. To a point where I thought my calculations were wrong, but it turns out it was just a max roll. Definitely dead to crit, but we take those, I guess. Aerodactyl comes out next, and my Metagross shrugs off a Brave Bird. I could take the kill, but I switch back to Electivire on a resisted crunch to get into better positioning for later. Wild Charge takes another kill. Electivire is actually quite fast. Cradily comes in next and gets taken out by close combat. Aggron is next in line with the Sash, so it stops Vire from chain killing the rest of the squad. For this, I switch to Lopunny, who dodges an Iron Tail, fake out into a 4x effective high jump kick, sends it to the Shadow Realm. Armaldo comes in last, and Metagross fittingly switches back in to take the final kill against Steven. How poetic. The Pokemon he gifted us will now be the one that takes him out. The Trust Fund Baby takes the L quite well, surprisingly. But this is because he knows he's already inherited generational wealth since birth. And this entire Pokemon thing that helps me put food on the table is just a side hobby for him. The real loser is in fact me, because he's beaten me before we even got to the starting line. I've been holding that L since birth. Well, anyhow, there is really only one thing left to do. I'm kidding, I'm done.